Good morning every day. For the past few days I've been shooting with that Sony 12-24mm f2.8, brand new. It came out and it is a beast. I want to share what I love about it, how it feels and what I hate. So if you're ready, let's get started. Alright guys, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to this special episode on the field review of that 12-24mm f2.8. I got it a few days ago and I've been able to play with it, to shoot with it. And I gotta tell you, I've been so surprised by that lens for several reasons we're gonna touch on. I'm gonna share with you the drawbacks, what I think is not great, what I think is amazing, and also how it feels, because this is probably something you've never shot with in your life. It's very unlikely you've touched a 12mm and your whole world is about to change when you're gonna see what we can shoot with that. So let's start with the most important. How does it feel? Honestly, it feels like someone cut the corners of your eyes and expanded the whole world. When you go from 24mm to 12mm, it just looks like everything has been opened up in your field of view, and I really love that feeling, because again, when we get new lenses, when you get new gear, the goal is to find something that we can shoot differently, maybe have more creative ideas, etc. And I think, I'm gonna spoil it for you, this really does the job on that end. Now let's just look at ergonomics. This lens is about the size of my 16-35, I would say, but the good part is that the zoom does not come in and out, so it's a fixed length, it never changes. And on top of that, what I really like about it is that it feels good. The focus ring feels also very, how do you call that, progressive and sturdy. And there is something really surprising about that lens. It's the front element. I mean, if you know ultra wides, you know that it's like kind of curved at the front, and so there is this lens hood that is built into that lens. That way you can't really hit it, you can't hit the glass, but I'll tell you, there is a huge drawback at the end of the video. One of the drawbacks is that you can't make a filter. You can't put a filter on there, at least not a circular filter, but you can put a filter at the back. There is a little, how do you call that? A little pocket here where you can slide in a filter paper, which is awesome. But it also means you can't use polarizing filter. But is that a real drawback for most people? Because polarizing filter that wide might not be the most optimal thing to use, to be honest. So in terms of ergonomics, it clearly feels like the line of the G Masters. It feels good and sturdy. Very happy with that. When I was on the field, shooting at night, shooting in the day, shooting near the water, I never felt like it would fall, that it wasn't balanced. It was actually really well balanced, and that's something I appreciate for those lenses. Now, let's talk a little bit about how it shoots exactly. So obviously the best way to know how it shoots is actually to look at it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a photo of that bridge at 12mm up to 24mm. I'm gonna show you in a second what it looks like. Let me know what you think. Here we're at 24mm and we're gonna go all the way to 12mm. That's how wide it gets. Whoop, whoop. And look, that's 12mm and that's 14mm. You see the difference? So yeah, what might seem like a small 2mm difference between, for example, a 14-28mm lens versus a 12-24mm lens is actually huge, because what you can fit in your frame is a lot more. And we were shooting portraits with Manny today, and he said the same thing.
I've played with 14mm, but I'm surprised at the extra 2mm. How much more you get in the frame. You know, 2mm goes a long way here.
We all want to make jokes right now.
On the wide end, 2mm makes a big difference.
It's crazy, right?
Big difference.
So, in terms of shooting experience, this is a great lens if you're trying to shoot action, if you're trying to have something creative, if you really want something that is different from everything else. Also, it is great for buildings, architecture, and it's going to be great also if you do astrophotography, because you're going to be able to put the whole sky in your image. Let's talk about quality, but before that I want to make a huge announcement. The 30-day program to great photos is starting again soon. If you want to train yourself, if you want to progress with me over 30 days to take your photography to the next level, this is for you. It has worked for hundreds of students around the world. They went really to the next level, started rewiring their brain, being able to see great photos no matter where they were, no matter what kind of gear they were using, and some of them became pros. So if you want to check it out, link is below. I'm waiting for you. It's gonna be an amazing adventure. Now let's talk quality. And I'm gonna give you a full on the field video tomorrow I'm gonna share with you another video where I'm actually shooting at night with that lens. I just want to give you a little bit more feeling as to how it is. The quality of the image is just beautiful. It's just like all G Master lenses. It is at the top. It is nearly what the best thing you can get. And what I really love is that the corners, you don't get that much of a smudge compared to maybe manual wide-angle lenses or other type of wide-angle lenses, maybe other brands, because they really paid special attention to make sure you have quality from corner to corner. And I think they did a great job with that, building that lens. Now, if you want something that doesn't have too much distortion, obviously an ultra wide is not for you, because naturally, optically speaking, you will have that bending feeling, but this is something also to love about those lenses, and what really gives you that unique ultra wide feeling that we've seen a lot lately. You'll get the full BTS tomorrow of how it shoots at night, and also there's gonna be a full BTS, a portrait challenge I did with Manny. You can watch it, it should be out tomorrow, or by the time you're watching that should be out already. Link is in the description. You'll see us do creative ideas on how we can shoot with that lens. So quality, insane. Autofocus, let's talk about that. This is the only lens that goes to 12mm that has autofocus right now. It is fast, it is efficient. I didn't have any hunting problems, and what I like is, especially when you're shooting that wide, is to go wide with tracking. And if you have objects in movement or if you're shooting action, that way you can track the subject throughout the whole frame, because 12mm is kind of a lot to work with when it comes to autofocus. If you're really trying to get your autofocus in the right spot, it can be tricky. But with the tracking, if you combine that with the tracking that's in those cameras, I think it does a really great job. Last thing to say about quality is that it uses the same elements as in the 24-14, which means for astrophotography, it should be amazing. I don't have the luxury in the city to have the night skies, but as soon as possible, I'm gonna try to take it in the nature and get some shots for you guys. But by the time that happens, I don't know when that's gonna be. I mean, 2020 is a weird year, but we're getting some awesome gear this year, and that is a good part about it, right? Now, drawbacks. What do I not like about that lens? Well, let's talk about it. The first one is whenever I put my lens here, let me get that right. Boom. So whenever I put my lens here, at one point I end up touching the front element with my arm when it goes like that, and that makes the front element super dirty. And that front element being dirty is a real problem, because it's so wide that you really need the glass to be absolutely clean. Now, the other drawback is clearly the price, because we're talking about a lens that is almost $3,000 pre-tax, which is a lot of money for anyone. So if you're not a pro, if you don't have let's say a lot of disposable income, this is not going to be a lens for you, definitely. But if you really are into astrophotography, ultra wide, if you love architecture, if you want to do something very creative, if you work maybe with clients and you're trying to have different concepts, this is a lens that you're gonna love. How are you liking the lens so far, man?
I like it. I would buy it.
You would buy it?
Mm-hmm.
In a heartbeat?
I don't know about a heartbeat, but I'd
in a credit card swipe?
All cash, no credit.
So price, definitely a drawback. The other one is that it is not a small lens, right? So it's not gonna go incognito. If you're doing street photography, everyone's gonna see you. And last but not least, that front element is popping out. It scares me, which means also you can't fit filters at the front of that lens. And that's about it. I would say that's the only drawbacks, because having 12-24, that is a lens that is completely autofocus, that you can use on your camera, that is sharp as crazy as it is. I mean, what more do you need in life? Let me know in the comments if you want to get that lens, if you have such a wide lens, if you've tried it. What do you think creatively? Do you think it's something you'd say try it for sure for people?
Oh, 100. It's so much fun to shoot with the 12mm. I've never shot with one. Shot with it this time, and I don't think I've ever had so much fun shooting portrait, just because it's just everything just makes everything, stretches everything out. You can get really close and get crazy creative pictures that I never really get. Yeah. You know, with my lenses, I always compress everything with a portrait lens. You know?
We shot a little challenge, photo challenge on Manny's channel, like portraits with the 12, so I highly recommend you to check that out if you want to see how I kick his ass, or he kicks my ass. No one knows. You'll have to watch. Now with that being said, guys, get out there, go shoot, try something different, try something new, maybe an ultra ride. Who knows? Have an amazing day. Bye.